Hello, this is Mike Kelsenberg. This is an introduction video about experiencing God. The three main points I want to make in this video are: the objective of Great Life is Easy will be accomplished much better with your experience of God than our teaching of God. Number two, God can be experienced through intentionality. And number three, some ways you can pursue experiencing God. One of the main objectives of Great Life is Easy is to help people get to a place where they are convinced God is good, that He wants what's best for them, that He knows what's best for them, that He has the power to do it. And that the only issue for them is to seek and know God so that they can line up with His means and methods of getting all His goodness to them. That's a tough objective. Few people full-heartedly believe all that, and fewer still are fully persuaded that seeking and knowing God is the best method to a great life. We could teach on it all day long and might have a little success. On the other hand, an experience of something is generally always more powerful and impactful than a teaching of the same thing. Imagine being told about ice cream versus actually eating ice cream. The same concept applies to God. Our objective will be accomplished much better by helping people experience God than by teaching God. Point number two is that God can be experienced through intentionality. And the good news is that experiencing God does not have to be just by chance. You can be intentional about it and experience God. In other words, you can make a choice to pursue experiencing God, and it will be successful. God doesn't dictate whether you experience Him or not. You do. What follows are some ways you can pursue experiencing God. My intent is to provide some examples of experiencing God and how through intentionality you could have these experiences. These will be brief explanations. If they are not published already, there will be more detailed videos on each of these methods. Ask God. This is where you ask God about something or to do something. It then happens so you know it's God. There are a lot of caveats here, but for simplicity, ask for something that would surely be in your best interest and not against someone else's interest. Do it with a heart of curiosity, not a heart of disproof, and it should work. The next four ways of experiencing God are more of an intellectual experience of God than a supernatural experience. Both are important and have value. People may lean one way or the other towards what they prefer, but it's probably a good idea to understand both. Creation and creation science. If you take a serious look at nature, you will see beauty, power, intelligence, interconnectedness, rhythm, harmony, and so much more than man could ever do even in his dreams. This contemplation and meditation on God's majesty is a form of experiencing Him. Creation science just takes this majesty to another level. Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin is a burial cloth with the image of a crucified man alleged to be Jesus. A deep study of the shroud reveals a relic that God left to future generations of the veracity of Jesus' crucifixion. So many things about the shroud are supernatural in the sense that they cannot be explained by natural means. This not only testifies to the crucifixion of Christ, but also to the resurrection. This understanding and positiveness of the death and resurrection of Jesus that comes with the study of the shroud is a powerful experience of God. The Bible code. If something exists, it's tangible and can be experienced by all, yet it is impossible for man to have done it, then its existence has to be attributed to God or a higher intelligence. In the first 5 books of the Bible, also known as the Torah, there is a code that only became truly visible with the advent of the computer. It is referred to as the Bible Code or Torah Code. This code was written 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. It reveals large quantities of information about events of today. This type of information is not revealed in any other book besides the Torah. It is supernatural. It can't be explained by man's ability. A study of the Torah code and the resulting belief and understanding of God's knowledge of the future is another powerful intellectual experience of God. Testimony. Another way to experience God is to hear other people's God experience testimonies. This only works effectively when skepticism and unbelief has left. A way to get rid of skepticism and unbelief is to hear similar testimonies. There are now categories of testimonies like NDEs and prophetic encounters. The internet allows anyone to go look up similar testimonies. What typically happens is that as you watch different people's testimonies, you notice the similarities and realize it can't be by coincidence. It has to be God. Then the disbelief fades away and the other people's experiences of God virtually becomes your experience. Dreams. A lot of dreams are God telling you stuff in a coded message. They are such that they can be ignored and thought of as just the way sleep works, or effort, intentionality can be put into remembering them and finding out what God is conveying to you. The later is a way of experiencing God through intentionality. The next 4 ways of experiencing God don't happen so much through intentionality of study, but are more supernatural and happen through intentionality of location and relationship, at least at the beginning. That's not to say they can't be pursued through study, but it's typically easier at first with the help of more experienced people. One other point. Experiencing God through these ways for others is a very worthy goal and is profitable to great life. Healing. God heals supernaturally, that is, outside of medical knowledge. Few people know God well enough yet to fully understand all the whys, whens, and hows of supernatural healing. There are a ton of healing testimonies, though, and it's biblical. Every time it happens, it's a God experience for the person healed and for the people who facilitate the healing by their prayer and knowledge of God. Through intentionality, a sick person could find a place where people practice supernatural healing and have a pretty good chance of experiencing God through their physical healing. A person could also, through intentionality, find a place that successfully practices God's supernatural healing and become part of it and experience God from the healing facilitator side. Deliverance. Deliverance is like healing, but it involves healing the mind more so than the body. Additionally, the demonic element is typically going to be stronger. A person through intentionality can experience God in deliverance, just as in the healing example. Personal prophecy. Personal prophecy is where God speaks to a person through another person. Both people experience God through personal prophecy. Typically, prophecy from the giving side is a practice thing, and the more one does it, the more of a God experience they have. Prophecy on the receiving side seems to work in the opposite way. The experience seems to diminish as one seeks more and more of it. It seems it's better for a person to learn to hear God for themselves. There is plenty of information and places out there for a person to pursue an experience of God through prophecy from either the giving side or the receiving side or both. Conversation with God. This is like prophecy, but instead of God speaking to another through you, he speaks to you through you, and you speak back to him. A conversation, in other words. God is always willing and able, 24/7, to talk with anyone. This is probably the cat's meow of experiencing and knowing God. Once you get this know-how, then you can ask God anything. That's a great way to get to know him. The hardest part about having a conversation with God is getting to the place where you know it's real and are willing to learn how. Conversation with God is one of the 8 main principles of Great Life is Easy. If we don't already, we will have several published videos about this topic. For right now, I just want to plant this seed in regards to it being real. Revelations 3:20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will dine with him and he with me." So, what do people the world over do when they dine together? They talk. Thank you for watching. Please check out other videos on this channel. Remember, it's all about knowing God and knowing how to go about knowing God.